Hi, my name is Carlene Scipio, and welcome to our brand new TV series called From Our Perspective. From Our Perspective looks at the lives and behaviors of millennials, Generation Z, and the changes that are happening in our 21st century and the innovators that are making it happen. We will explore trends, technology, music, fashion, social media, business, science, the arts, faith, and lifestyle, and we will do so through the eyes of various generations. We would look at their interests, how are they changing our 21st century, what is innovation, and what role does innovation play in our lives today, who are our innovators, and what is causing market disruptions, and what does that mean? What are the differences and similarities between Generation Z, Millennials, and other generations? And can these generations successfully coexist? We will talk to visionaries, movers and shakers who are doing great things in our local community and around the world. From Our Perspective is not just another talk show. There will be roving reporters from the Caribbean, Europe, and North America. This will be a show of learning, exploring, questioning, listening, and creative ideas. So come join us on Comcast, Verizon, and online. Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories, covering almost 4 million square miles, making it the world's second largest country by total area. As a whole, Canada is sparsely populated, the majority of its land area being dominated by forest and tundra. Consequently, its population is highly urbanized, with over 80% of its inhabitants concentrated in large and medium-sized cities. Ottawa is the capital. The 3 largest metropolitan areas are Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. It is one of the world's most ethnically diverse and multicultural nations, the product of large-scale immigration from different countries. Based on its 2016 census, Canada's population is approximately 35 million. Canada has one of the highest per capita immigration rates in the world. New immigrants settle mostly in major urban areas such as Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. In this episode, we will meet 2 millennials who are first-generation Canadian-born immigrants who have chosen the path of entrepreneurship. These hardworking, highly intelligent young ladies use the DMZ Incubator Lab to help with the launch of their business. Launched in April 2010, DMZ is Ryerson University Business Incubator for early-stage technology startups. In 2018, DMZ became the world's leading accelerator for tech startups in Canada. Their purpose is to help startups build great businesses by connecting them with customers, capital, experts, and influencers. Laquan Collins Backus is the creative principal of Peer, a consultancy that reimagines the human experience with technological innovation. Her company has worked with libraries, universities, YWCA, Mozilla, workshops, exhibitions, and tours.
I'm Laquan, and I'm the founder and creative principal of Pear, a tech consultancy that provides services and digital products for nonprofits, for government contracts, and private clients, with a community-based approach. And so everything we do involves the community, whether it's youth groups or it's at festivals or private events. We always try to involve communities in creating digital products. As a millennial, how I got started was I was making products for friends. So doing web development and doing content strategy and writing online journals. And I honed my skills in coding by making products like that, as well as Chrome extensions and games. And I didn't know I could monetize that in a business. until someone paid me. And so eventually I just started giving my services away for a fee and applying for contracts and grants, and everything I applied for, I got. So in a way, I just realized that I should probably continue doing that, and it grew into something bigger than I thought originally it would be. And now we're incubator in Toronto and helping to grow an organization, a company, consultancy. It's something that's a little bigger than just myself, but as a way to help communities across Toronto and internationally. So it's been an interesting journey going from just a small favor from a friend and into something that's more for a community and for a city and internationally more recently. So after Millennial, I decided to go to school for my master's in Estonia, which is in Eastern Europe, and the reason why is because it was just a different program from what I found in Canada. It focuses on computer science and economics in the government space, something that I didn't find here. And other countries around the world are more advanced in that area than they are in Canada. So for me, it's just a natural progression in terms of my experience, my business experience, and what I want to do in the future, just becoming more knowledgeable and becoming more of an expert in the field to hopefully continue on, and I'm continuing to be a doctorate. But the goal is to always be abreast of what the new innovations and new developments and with technologies are and how to shape them to serve the public good and serve communities through technology. So I'm very happy to be part of that change and part of the innovation in the government space as well as the tech space. So I think as a millennial, we are doing things differently, particularly for me. I know I could have done my master's a while back. I just turned 27, but at 24, instead of doing that, I decided to run an incubator. And for me, that was such a life-changing experience. And I got opportunities with companies I would never have been qualified to work for had I not taken this step. And for me, doing a master's involved to do more education was a more of a firm choice, and a choice that wasn't steeped in becoming more qualified. It was more so like a way to backtrack and get qualifications that matched what I already did. So I think the perspective there is a little different towards education, where it's more so for having a piece of paper versus needing it for a position. So I think that's something, and I know in the past it's also about how I can't drive, even though I have a really successful business. It's not something that I thought about doing. A lot of my work is remote. I can do it from home, I can do it from the office. And a lot of people that I work with are not just in Canada, but also abroad. So I worked with Mozilla, and I did that program without even needing to be in an office for Mozilla. I never actually met the people that I worked with. So there's always opportunities that suit your lifestyle and what you're comfortable with, versus just applying for a 9-to-5 and just going to what they tell you to do. You can always find ways, in the tech space at least, to make your job work for you as well as you work for it. So I really embrace that harmony around what it means to work for a living as well as to enjoy your life. So I'm thankful to have found a balance and opportunities that have come and embraced my way of looking at life, as well as creating my own kind of space in tech that is inclusive and diverse and allows me to live the life that I would like to see others live. So for millennials, I think that's more like so the case when you're able to do that and you can reach beyond just your surroundings into other communities, other countries, and see if the idea works out. And if it doesn't, it's totally fine. You're still young, you can still figure something out. But now I think more people my age are embracing that risk and taking the chance. So it's good to see that.
Ashley Alexis McFarlane is the creative director and CEO of Omi Woods, a timeless blend of classic and contemporary jewelry. Ethnically handmade with an age-old and new-age techniques, they are intended to be worn and passed on to future generations so their stories and meaning can live on.
Hi, my name is Ashley Lutz McFarlane, and I am the founder and owner of a company called Omi Woods. Omi Woods is a jewelry line that focuses on Africana, indigenous, and cultural jewelry. I make pieces with precious metals, thinking about dabbling more in brasses as well. Traditional metals like brasses and bronze, sterling silver, solid gold, and really inspired by the historic traditions of West Africa, East Africa, the Caribbean, the cultural mixes of Toronto, just a bunch of different stuff. So my background's in clothing design, so I started off with African print clothing. I actually started off with African clothing and jewelry, and focused on the clothing aspect, and now I'm moving more and exploring the jewelry. The reason being, about 2 years ago, I wanted to look more into doing sustainable design. Clothing is one of the top polluters in terms of industries in the world, second only behind oil. So I wanted to have my brand and the work that I do really encapsulate a love for the earth and the environment, especially with climate change, especially with everything about sustainability. And doing research, figuring out different things that would make sense and that I would love, realized that I had a natural affinity for jewelry. Around that time, my grandmother passed away, and she passed away from complications due to sickle cell. And she was the oldest Canadian with sickle cell when she passed away. And so I just remember being all together with my aunts, and we were passing on her jewelry. And throughout that time and like months to come, I would be wearing pieces just to remember her. And I think this is just a common story with people throughout time even. So jewelry started to become more important to me, and I started to explore environmental and eco-friendly jewelry and different designs from like ancient, like Africa, and different spaces that incorporated Africana and different cultural elements into their jewelry practices, especially as something that's passed down through generations. And that's how I got more into doing what I'm doing. My family is Jamaican Maroon, so we have Ashanti descent, and there's like a huge lineage and culture around passing down gold that had significance, more than the gold material, and more about the actual significance and the symbols, and like sometimes animals like frogs or whatnot, and what they represented in Ashanti culture, and having that flow through generations. So that, I guess, is a little bit about my interest in jewelry and why I'm focusing on this now and my exploration. So yeah, stay tuned.
Japan has a population of 127 million. 14 million resides in Tokyo, its capital. The country benefits from a highly skilled workforce and is among the most highly educated countries in the world. Japan is renowned for its historical and extensive cinema, influential music, anime, video games, rich cuisine, science, and technology. In this episode, we'll meet a millennial doing it her way.
Konnichiwa, 私はクリスティーナです。アメリカ人です。私は3年ぐらい日本に住んでました。本当にいい経験でした。Hello, my name is Christina. I'm an American and I lived in Japan for 3 years. My first interest in Japan started when I was little. My family would always take me on trips to other countries outside of the US, and I started to develop a passion for learning about what is out there outside of America, learning about other countries' cultures and customs and just everything. And I got the opportunity when I was in high school to take a trip to China as a people-to-people student ambassador. And while I was in China, I just realized that Asia as a continent is just a really amazing place. And after I went to China, I decided that I would like to go travel to Japan. How has this experience changed me? I feel like my experiences in Japan made me become more open-minded and courageous. Even though Japanese customs and culture and religion is very different than my own, we were able to come together and put our differences aside and be able to bond on one thing, and that's building relationships, and that's loving others and caring about others and being there for others, and I feel like that helped me to see past what I was used to and to be able to embrace other people. I also feel like I became more courageous. My first time in Japan, I went when I was in college, and I went with a friend and a friend's relative who actually spoke the language. However, my second time in Japan, I traveled completely by myself. I was basically in a foreign country. I only knew the language to a conversational level, and it was my first time taking care of my own responsibilities, paying bills, getting a cell phone, getting a bank account, and everything completely by myself. And so I feel like I kind of just jumped right in there and had to stand up on my own 2 feet in complete courage. And that really helped me to grow as a person and realize that I can really do this thing and travel the world and live out my passion. What do they find most interesting about my cultural background? I think that in general, people in Japan are interested in African American culture and American culture. They are definitely interested in pop music, hip hop dance, and I think they're also very interested in American traditions. For example, Christmas. Even though people are not Christian, you'll definitely see Christmas decorations up in the country. You'll definitely see people giving their family members presents and gifts on Christmas Day. And so they really embrace American traditions, as well as they also celebrate Easter. Again, especially even if they're not Christians, they will eat chocolates during Easter time. And so I think that they definitely embrace American culture as well as African American culture. What was my work and social experience like? My work experience was amazing. The first job that I had, I worked in a public school as an assistant English teacher, and that was just an amazing experience for me. It was my first time really being able to live out my passion, which is to be a teacher. And I was able to come alongside an amazing head teacher, and I was able to teach children English, children who learned about English in textbooks, learned about English from music and television shows, but not really having somebody there who's native in the language and fluent in the language to help them. And so I feel like I inspired them to want to learn English language and other languages in general. And so I feel like that really helped me to encourage them to live out whatever their dreams are and whatever their passions are. And my social experience was incredible. I actually found a church in Japan, and I met people, and they really just took me underneath their wings, and they really were relatable, and they really understood what it was like to be a foreigner, because it was a church with people who were from other countries, and it was a church with people who were Japanese natives, and they spoke English and they spoke Japanese and many other languages. So it just really made me feel comfortable being able to hang out with them and have fun with them, and they kind of just took me underneath their wings. So I feel like I really made friends and family with them. And I feel like that really encouraged me to stay for the 3 years that I stayed, even though sometimes were difficult. I felt like I always had somebody encouraging me. What aspects did I enjoy the most, and what aspects were challenging for me? Some aspects that I enjoyed the most definitely was, again, making great friendships, lifelong friendships with people, as well as being able to explore Japan as a whole. I was able to travel to many different prefectures. I traveled to Kyoto, I traveled to Nagano, and I traveled to Osaka and many other places. And I was really able to see just the beautiful scenery and the beautiful landscapes. And I was able to really understand Japanese history as a whole, that they're very organized and very keen on detail. And it was just really just a sight to see just how beautiful their architecture is and their scenery. As well as I also had an opportunity to enjoy their food. I definitely love sushi, I definitely love noodles, I definitely love all of their rice dishes, and that was just also an amazing time for me to be able to enjoy their food as well as their other things that they had to offer. The most challenging aspect of Japan was, one, definitely being away from my family. I was thousands of miles away, and I only got a chance to see my family around one time a year. So it definitely was difficult to be away from my family, as well as definitely the challenges that I had adapting to learning a completely different language. That was definitely a challenge. I had to do everything in Japanese, from getting a bank account to having an apartment to paying bills. Everything I had to do in Japanese, and so I really had to take the time to immerse myself in the language, and that was a bit challenging in the beginning, but towards the end I started to develop more confidence in my Japanese ability, and that definitely made my trip even more amazing. I definitely do see myself exploring more non-traditional opportunities. This year I got the opportunity to travel to Puerto Rico as a volunteer, and so I definitely see myself wanting to travel to other countries and volunteering and definitely loving on children from around the world and being able to help other people from around the world. And so that's a really big passion of mine, and so that's something that I'm definitely going to continue in the future. My advice would be to anybody who has a particular dream or vision or passion, I would tell them to definitely go for it. I didn't expect 10 years, 15 years ago that I would end up traveling to Japan and meeting new people and learning a different language. And it all definitely just came from just a dream and a passion that I had to explore the world. So I'll tell anybody, definitely, if your desire is to travel around the world and meet new people, I would tell you start learning the language of the particular place that you would like to go to. Definitely take the time to learn about the culture, and then definitely just go to the country and explore the world.
Our guest's experience represents a growing trend among millennials and Generation Z. The importance of immersing themselves in other countries and languages has grown in popularity. Global immersion programs are on the rise. More and more young people are electing to travel abroad during school or after graduation. Today, global immersion is so much more than studying abroad. Depending on the program, participants can work, study, shadow, or volunteer to gain experience. This change of scenery provides instant personal growth. As mentioned by our guest in this episode, immersing in new cultures different than your own prepares one to effectively live and work in a global society. It builds courage, responsibility, increases one's ability to overcome challenges, builds confidence, along with acquiring a new network of friends and extended family. These are all positive attributes one should acquire throughout life, and thereby developing a less myopic view of the world.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Get caught buzzed driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off. Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education, what are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills. The smarts. Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean.